I'm doing just a Bancha again this morning because I wanted to show that Bancha has actually the potential to go to a lot of different brewings. So here the first tasting, what you can see due to the earthiness of this tea, also a little bit with the hot water, you can see that there's not a clear green to this tea, but there's some kind of a darker yellowish with some kind of a slight green, but it's much more darker. It's a little bit more settled color going, coming a little bit or kind of transferring a little bit this darker notes of the tea. And now I just tasted. There's a lot of, in this first brewing, especially the wooden note is very strong. So you got really a little bit of this, when you take like a wooden pot, when you are walking around in the forest and you take just a wooden in your mouth, or you kind of smell this a little bit, this wet leaf in the autumn time. This is a little bit the taste I have in the first. So now we go to the second one. Let's have a look at this and how it tastes. So second brewing, only leave it in for around 20 seconds. Very, very low time. You don't need to prolong it too much. Just take it for a short amount of time. And then the tea looks a little bit different. So the leaves got a little bit bigger. I can maybe show you one like this one here. So you can see that now the leaves are really opened up. So you can see that this one here is pretty big. It was a slightly rolled, there are some slightly rolled leaves in it. But this tea normally already after the second brewing is really, really open. And let's go now into the second tasting. So this is brewing number 2. There are now sweeter notes coming in, so I really feel that the tea is now moving a little bit in the direction of sunflower seeds. So when you eat sunflower seeds, that when you taste them, they're always a little bit sweet as well. So they have a little bit of this barky wooden note, but they also have this sweetness with it. And this is what the tea now shows in the second tasting. So in the second tasting here, you can really feel that kind of this wooden notes are a little bit going down, and there's a little bit more sweetness adding to it, but not a too strong change in the taste profile of this tea. And now let's go to tasting number 3, brewing number 3. Also here, not too long in, really just 20 seconds, that's far enough. This tea has a lot of flavor, so we are here already at number 3 of this tea. So we pour it in, 20 seconds is more than enough. Still there's the wooden note, so it's a very stable tea. And what's impressive about this one here, normally you can only do 3, but still at the third brewing, this tea has a lot of flavor. It's a really, really impressive tea in terms of amount of brewings you can do with it. So this is now brewing number 4. Let's dig into number 4. Only as well 20 seconds. 20 segundos para este Bancha, para tomarlo. And what you can see is that the color definitely changed a little bit now. Now we are at brewing number 4. I can just show you, it got a little bit lighter. Before it was a darker yellowish or darker yellow color. Now we are here. Also here, still a lot of taste. The woodenness, so kind of this barky wooden note, goes a little bit down, and now you still have a lot of sweetness. So this is already what I realized the last time I brewed this tea. Is like you have this wooden barky notes for 1, 2, and 3, and then from the 4th it goes into a mellow, really nice smoothness. So this tea has still a lot of taste, has still a lot of character when you brew it. But it gets lighter, it gets smoother, it gets a little bit finer from the 4th brewing on. So here you really got like this dark wooden note, a little bit this barky notes. So a more settled, a little bit lower calming effect. And here now there comes kind of a sweetness, but not in sweetness like sugary, but sweetness like fineness and a lighter taste in the tea. So this is something I really like about this tea. So you can go for 3 or more wooden brewings, and then as soon as you go up to 4, 5 and 6 where the taste is still ongoing, you got a nice taste, but it gets lighter, and the sweetness really remains in the tea. So this is something I like a lot about this tea. Let's go now to number 5. So this is now the last. Arigato. Thank you. Good. Now we have here the last one here, which I have in terms of water. And let's go now for the last tasting. Still a lot of sweetness to it, like this kind of wooden and a little bit darker notes. They really transform themselves into a sweetness, and they get a little bit back, but they're still there, but they give a much more space to the sweetness. So 4, 5 and even 6, I would say, here you really get a sweet mellow tea, and before it's more kind of a wooden tasty note, a little bit more sunflower seeds, and the sunflower seeds, they kind of take over in the second part. Very, very interesting. So this was the tasting of this tea. Do you guys have any questions for me? Something else you would like to know?